Who would win? Vlad von Karstein, first of his line, the greatest of his house, and his grave guards, host of undead fiends? Or would it be crazy cousin Nick and his pirate bros? Yes, indeed, another replay from the legendary Slade. By the time you guys are watching this, 4.1 will have already been released, but this replay was too good to pass up, so I'm pre-recording it for release on patch day because, yeah, I've got ranked 9 depth guards here, 3 of them, and 2 bloody reavers, or sorry, 1 bloody reaver, 1 regular depth guard polearm, and then, yeah, some Mournguls also. 1 regular unit of Mournguls up to rank 7, and 1 Knight Terror, Regiment of Renown. So, yeah, some undead versus undead today, and in particular, it's these guys that are going to be the highlight, because if there's one matchup where they can not get killed by missiles, or less likely to get blasted by magics here, I mean, it's still certainly a risk, but due to the fact that the vampire counts are very likely to allocate resources mostly for healing and summons, especially if they're you know, worried about a more ranged focused build. As we see here with Vlad, he doesn't have any AoE damage abilities, so the depth guards are actually going to be in a really, really good position here. But obviously they are heavily outnumbered. It's 333 versus 1705, so it's going to be an interesting battle here for sure. And the thing is, too, is the Mournguls are stocked right now, right? So from from Vlad's perspective, all he sees is the depth guards, and it's like, all right, Nick, you gonna do this? Noctilus, of course, his name in the lore is Nicolaus von Karstein, so technically of the same house. I guess he just got sick of all the fighting and decided to sail the 7 seas and get into all sorts of fun pirate shenanigans, but pretty cool. I personally really like the Depth Guard. They're basically like Blood Knight Marines in a way, right? Like they're these vampire fighters, dismounted, but with very high stats, relatively few in number. Gonna get in here and just absolutely steel club some zombies. Gonna be incredibly brutal. The Bloody Reavers just kind of set up in a little bit of a defensive position here to block Blood Knights, Varix Reavers. We've also got some Dire Wolves here. There's plenty of zombies, of course, White King, and it looks like proper corpse cart support as well. So, I mean, this is a fairly well-constructed vampire counts build. It would definitely be, if I were going to play the vampire counts, something like this would probably be pretty close. But, of course, it's going to be just a matter of if they can get through these Death's Guards. And they didn't really have a whole lot of armor piercing. Like, the Blood Knights obviously are not armor piercing. Varix Reavers, also pretty terrible against armor. Not to mention they're both large, so they'll get punished pretty heavily by the halberds. Mourngul's also getting in here, providing some anti-infantry damage, but yeah, I mean, short of just mass shock charges or maybe grinding them down, I thought I saw some grave guards in here. That's why I kind of said that in the opening, but are there actually any grave guard? Yeah, no. Some grave guard with great weapons definitely be very good to have here alongside. And like this unit of death guards here, definitely has taken some damage, some pretty serious kills already, but given their rank 9, not enough value to pay for themselves. And that's just purely due to the fact they're being significantly outnumbered, and of course also that Vlad is fighting on top of them, right? And Vlad is serious armor piercing. The fact that he's so tanky, he can definitely grind through a lot of units, so probably Vlad himself is the best chance. The White King too also has some anti-infantry damage. It's not armor piercing, but they, as long as they're saturated on top of lots of zombies, should be able to get through a lot of the depth guard. But let's see as Noctilus gets tangled up with his patriarch here. I don't know exactly the relation. I said crazy cousin Nick because, I don't know, it just seemed most fitting, but he's got to be like a nephew or something, right? I don't think he's necessarily Vlad's direct son per se, but anyway, Mourngul's going to be flopping on in, and we see some summoned deckhands, of course, going to be able to provide some extra numbers on the coast side, but yeah, you'll notice from the bombardment there, one of the things they said they fixed in patch 4.1, which I have yet to make the video about the patch notes, but I likely will make and release that today on the day I'm recording this, then you guys will probably see this after the fact. But anyway, yeah, one of the things they fixed was the homing behavior for missiles, so I'm curious to see the difference in, like, that ability is one that they listed as a specific example as to whether it's different after the patch or not. We'll kind of have to use this video as a reference, perhaps, although, to be honest, Vlad wasn't moving around much, so it might not be the best reference, but anyway. Noctilus gonna get in here and manually dismantle the corpse carts. Definitely a good idea. I think both corpse carts actually got killed already, so that's gonna remove a lot of passive healing and ability to grind from the vampire counts. Even though they're not gold-wise high-value targets, tactically I think corpse carts should be, most of the time, if you have the resources to kill them, should be considered high-value targets, just due to the fact of them having great passive healing and, you know, the vigor refresh and also stat increases. But nasty charge here lands on the Night Terrors. Blood Knights will be able to put their anti-large bonus to very good effect, but both of the pole-armed depth guards close in, and due to the fact they're in the woods, a lot of those Varix Reavers and Blood Knights are going to get caught up in that engagement and not be able to escape. And while out in the open ground, yeah, there were the Sternsmen. Okay, so I wasn't going crazy. It's the one Grave Guard at least, and definitely the best of all with their own regeneration. Probably stand the best chance of finishing off these Depth Guard. Vlad also has not managed to get the best engagement against Noctilus. These two, I mean, Vlad's probably a little bit better of a duelist, but Noctilus actually has pretty good melee defense, enough to where, you know, he's got a reasonable chance of shrugging off hits. He himself, again, the attack defense kind of split makes them pretty much pure opponents and actually the same weapon strength, but Vlad's got better regeneration tools, and he's also got the Karstein ring up currently to help shrug off some of that damage. But it seems like, in terms of the RNG of this fight, Vlad has been taking the worst end of things, and not to mention the depth guards in a surround with their high weapon strength will be able to do pretty good damage, even getting through his armor. Though they don't necessarily have armor piercing per se, it's just that high overall weapon strength. If Vlad's not doing great on his armor rolls especially, can end up taking a lot more damage than you might expect. That's why single entity fights can be a little swingy sometimes, but cavalry for the vampire counts manages to escape, lands a nice charge there, and then pulls away. I do think maybe the Blood Knights should stay in combat a little bit longer, try and finish off the Morghuls and kind of take advantage of that charge bonus fully. But yeah, Vlad manages to somewhat extricate himself here. The pole-arm Bloody Reaver Depth Guard and the regular pole-arm Depth Guard here are both going to be huge problems, I foresee, in the late game. Because, yeah, I mean, the dual weapon Depth Guard are slowly getting ground down, starting to lose out, and obviously the cavalry could finish off these Morghuls. But there's really not much besides Vlad himself that holds any chance of dealing with the halberds, and Vlad himself, I think, has already sacrificed too much HP fighting Count Noctilus and everything else, but we'll see there. Got some Invocation of Nehek on the coast side, healing things up. A lot of this stuff is going to be heal capped anyway, so it won't make that much of a difference, but halberds are not. They're definitely a good recipient for healing in this late game. And yeah, not looking great for the vampire counts as they throw in the towel there. Understandable. Didn't want to finish that grind, but look at the kill totals there, man. 514 kills there, 363 there, 220, 188, 199, 197. I mean, come on. Night Terrors at only 52, but still actually managed to get some pretty good damage value back. Just absolutely insane. I mean, you always see inflated damage values against vampire counts because they have so much healing, and especially passive healing, but still, I mean, still have to do the damage to win, right? But yeah, it's just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Love to see some undead versus undead, you know, so they can just all go back to sleep and leave us all alone. And just interesting build overall. Love to see the me builds from Slade, and in particular, this is one situation where his meme build actually ends up matching up very well into what his opponent can do. And, I mean, obviously, this build looks a lot more set to counter, like, a more traditional Vampire Coast build, with, like, the mobile tools to shut down ranged, and, you you know, some cavalry to deal with some key targets and everything, but yeah, just didn't expect to run into this buzzsaw, absolute buzzsaw here, so definitely a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.